What up, everybody? This is a dab of everything, and today, and I really don't know how many of y'all know about this place. It's very lost in time and in history, especially for it being in the tiny town of Sulphur Springs, Arkansas. But if I remember straight, it was the very first one. This was the first John Brown University ever established. This building was already there before it became a John Brown. If we get a little bit closer, I might be able to zoom in on the JBs that are still there. It's once the Kilberg Hotel. This place was built in the 1800s. It used to be about 5 stories taller. It used to be absolutely massive. Those towers were crazy, but it happened in the 1920s or 30s or whatever, and actually the 40s, I think, and burned down to 2 stories, but they still kept it. And then eventually in the mid-20s, early 30s, John Brown bought this place and turned it into a college, and he actually bought like 3/4 of Sulphur with it. My old house I grew up at is right here, so I was by this place for a long period of time in my life, seeing it every time I looked out my window, which is really cool. It's technically abandoned, but it's not. Somebody does own it, and people do show up here, but it's not used for anything. And then there's right here the Livingston Hotel, which, wow, the sign ain't there no more. 1910. Oh yeah, there's the 1910 sign in the window. It closed down 1913. Don't remember the reasons why. And it's basically been abandoned for the most part since. It's been abandoned forever, it feels like. But also a very historic building, and it has been getting work done on it. If you see the power's on and everything. It was a very torn up building growing up in Sulphur, but after I moved out long ago, they've actually been fixing it up recently, ever since Shiloh. So that's what this property was. Used to be Shiloh, and it was a church organization or whatever, and they sold it to somebody else, and so, but it's just been vacant since. But no, this building has a stupid amount of history to it. A stupid amount of history for it's been here for well over 100 years. And right here, nothing really special. I think it's really always been a church, and I don't even think it's been here for that long compared to these beautiful buildings, pieces of history. And that building over there in World War II was used for holding Japanese hostages and stuff, which is also very strange for this being northwest Arkansas during World War II, and we still managed to have Japanese prisoners in this very white building right here. And after World War II, it was then converted into a gym, and that's all it is now. It's just a basketball gym. And yeah, it's pretty cool. We'll be close to it here in a sec. There's the front entrance to see Shiloh is what it used to be. Then right here where it turns white during World War II this was added on to the Kilberg Hotel / John Brown University in the 1940s during World War II, and was used to feed our veterans, which is crazy, with that being for holding prisoners while they would eat in freedom right there. It's nuts. And this whole lot is surrounded by quartz crystal as gravel, which is pretty cool. I don't want to get too close because I really don't know how restricted this place is ever since Shiloh. It quit being Shiloh, and now it's some other organization that owns it. I heard a rumor about them turning it into an orphanage, but I've seen no action take place, and it's been a few years since that. But yeah, that's where back in the 40s soldiers would come up and eat, and all that is a cafeteria. And I used to eat in there all the time during the summer for school food that was left over. And there's a better shot of that. It's pretty early in the morning. It's about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, that's when this place is absolutely the most beautiful, because of just that perfect glare of the morning sun. And yeah, I've been seeing these buildings every day of my life basically for over 10 years. I don't live in Sulphur anymore. I moved out of Sulphur a while ago, and this is my first time visiting Sulphur in a long time. But this was this was always my favorite part about Sulphur. It was these buildings, because the highway's right at the bottom of that hill. So these buildings just sit where everybody, no matter who goes through Sulphur, you're going to see it. And they stand out so much, you just don't see this kind of stuff. Right down there's the park, soccer field, and the highway. You can see a sign down there, and cars. So yeah, no matter what, old bell. Here's a good side shot. But yeah, don't want to overstay my welcome over here. So like I said, don't know how restricted this place is now, but I hope you guys enjoyed this.